name is Katie Carson. I am the Duchess of Suds here at Royalty Soaps. Welcome to the Royal Creative Academy, where we teach you how to make soap. This is the very first soap making video, but there are a couple of other videos you need to watch if this is the first one you've stumbled on. In the other videos, we talk all about prepping our raw materials, prepping our lye water solution, safety in soap making, and I give you the big list of all the things you'll need to buy, including equipment and ingredients to make your first couple of batches. I'll be leaving you guys a link to the full playlist down in the description box below, and also as the pinned comment in the comment section. So if you haven't done all of your reading and you haven't watched those videos, head on back over there. And for those of you who have, welcome. I'm so happy to have you here. Today's the first day we're gonna make cold processed soap together. It's gonna be fun, it's going to smell amazing, and it's going to be beautiful. So without further ado, let's, you and me, make some soap. Now I highly suggest before you make any soap, watch this video all the way through so that you can see exactly what I've done and exactly what it will look like at the end. So the first thing I'm going to do is take our tequila sunrise mica and dump it straight into the oils. Now why am I putting it straight into our base oils? Because this soap is only going to be one color. I didn't want to overwhelm you guys with lots of different colors for your first batch. Let's just stick with the basics. We're also going to add in our orange soda pop fragrance oil straight into our oils. I am using only 1 ounce because I am making the recipe shown for the basic soap making kit, but if you have chosen a royal upgrade, you will be adding 2 ounces. Just gonna pour that straight in, and then I'm going to blend up our oils and our colorant for about 5 seconds or until all the colorant is completely dispersed. I'm gonna be pushing the bottom button here, which is the number 2, so it will go faster. Another quick tip is to keep your blender head completely submerged. If you bring it up, it will start to spit oil around everywhere. So make sure any of the open holes are completely in your batter. Now it is time to add our lye water solution. So don't get scared. Take a deep breath. You're perfectly capable. You're perfectly safe. We're gonna open up our jar here. Your lye water solution should be completely cool to the touch and at room temperature, as well as your oils. I'm gonna shoot these real quick with my thermometer gun. My oils are at 82 degrees Fahrenheit, and my lye water solution is at 82 degrees Fahrenheit because they're both sitting at room temperature. If your studio is a little hotter or a little colder than mine, that's perfectly fine. Just make sure that your lye water solution and your oils are within 10 degrees of each other, preferably 5 degrees of each other, and that both of them are between the range of 75 degrees Fahrenheit and 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Just for extra precaution, I'm going to take the blender off of the blender head, put the blender head on its side, and then I'm going to pick up the lye water solution with both hands and pour it down the stick blender. This is just to help it not splash everywhere and to sort of break the fall as it's going down. I'm going to give it a quick little shake, and then immediately I am going to put the lid back on the lye water solution and twist it tight. That way if this falls off your counter or maybe you knock it, there's no fear of any lye water solution that might still be left in here getting on your hands. Now I'm going to add the stick blender head back on, and we're going to blend this. I'm going to blend it in real time, but I'm not going to make y'all listen to the annoying blender noise. And because this recipe is so heavy on the olive oil, we can blend for quite a while. I'm gonna zoom you guys in real close so you can see the consistency of the soap. So the first thing to notice is that there's no oil sitting on top. That's good. That means everything has been fully incorporated. And then when I pick up my stick blender and drag this across the top, you can see it is absorbing all of that soap. There's nothing sitting on top. This means we are at just past emulsion, where everything has been emulsified, or at extremely light trace. Now, as this continues to sit, it will thicken up. And if you pull up your stick blender head and you drop some drizzle on, eventually it will start to sit on top of the soap. And that's when you have medium to thick trace. I try to avoid medium to thick trace because I find that my designs don't look as pretty. This is my ideal batter consistency because it's still quite runny so that I know I can make pretty designs, but it's all completely blended in together and the batter is not separating. You can see on my stick blender, everything is sticking together, nothing's separating out. You're not seeing oils at the top and like liquid lye water dripping off. This is what your soap batter should look like. I've removed the blender head once again, and I'm going to scrape off any excess that I may have on my blender head. I know when you're making your first batch of soap, every single little bit of soap counts. This smells so good, and now we're ready to pour it into our purple mold. So we have our purple mold here, and because we don't have any extra colors and it's all one pour, I'm going to start in a corner and I'm just going to fill it up slowly to avoid air bubbles. Just keep on pouring in the same corner. Now using my spatula, I'm gonna make big scrapes around my pitcher. You can see I'm scraping super big areas. That's why I like these particular spatulas, because you can get a lot accomplished in a little bit of time. And I'm just gonna pour that extra batter right on top. I'm gonna set my bowl off to the side, and look at that, you guys. You have your very first soap in the mold. Now, this is where we get to have a little more creative fun. You can wait until this sets up a little bit more and take a stainless steel or plastic spoon and texture the top in any way you like. You could take a fork and you could scrape across the top any way you like. If you are already a soap enthusiast, there are probably some soap makers out there whose textured tops you admire, so give it a go yourself. Maybe you like a bar of soap that has a nice flat top, and in that case, leave it alone. But if you've purchased the Royal Upgrade, we have some mica to put on top. I'm gonna do my best to show you guys a lot of different techniques on this. Now you can see my soap is still quite runny. Like I said, there's quite a bit of olive oil in it. This is completely normal for olive oil soap, but you're gonna have to wait to texture it for up to an hour. That's right, it sometimes has to sit a really long time when you have that much olive oil in it. I'm going to leave these first couple of bars plain for those who don't want to add any extra pizzazz. Then for these few bars, I'm going to take our King Tut Gold Mica in the tea strainer. We're going to shut it up, and then very lightly I'm going to tap the tea strainer, and we're going to cover the top of a few bars. Now, doesn't that look pretty? You can tap as much or as little as you like. It is all up to you. This is part of the creative process. I like mine to be almost completely covered, so that's what I'm going to do. Excellent. And then I'm gonna wait about 30 minutes or so, and we'll come back and we'll texture the last half. Okay guys, so my soap has been sitting for about an hour. That's right, a full hour. It's warm in my studio. I poured when it was super light trace. And when you add all those components together, well, you get a soap that takes a while to set up. But now it's ready to be textured. So I'm gonna texture this half of the soap. And you know what? You can texture, like I said, any way you want. You wanna put a fork through it? Awesome. If you want to just do it the way I'm doing it and like pull up the sides here, that's great too. Maybe you want to try something new you've never seen anyone do before. Go for it. So I've textured the top, and then on these couple bars, I'm also going to put a little bit of the gold. And any extra gold that doesn't stick, don't worry about it. We will dust it off tomorrow. And now I'm going to spritz this entire loaf with some rubbing alcohol. That's probably going to move the mica around a little bit. Don't worry, it's just going to make it look gilded. And then we're going to let this soap sit in the mold for 3 days. I know this is the hardest part about soap making, is waiting for the soap to set up. But because we're only using 2 different oils, or 3 if you have upgraded your batch, and we're trying to make it as cost effective as possible, this one does take a little longer to unmold because it's softer. So put it somewhere safe and out of the way of pets or children. Those of y'all in a house or an apartment, if you have an empty cabinet up high, you can just put it in and shut the cabinet, and try not to think about it for the next 3 days. All right, guys, so here we are 3 days later. I've pulled the silicone out of the mold, and you can see the 4 distinct areas. Here are the first 2 bars that not only have nothing on them, but also aren't textured. Here's the 2 bars that aren't textured and have gold. Here's the 2 bars that are gold and have texture. And here's the 3 bars that have nothing at all, just texturing. As you can see, there's a little bit of white on here and in the little crack areas. Don't worry, that isn't bad at all. It's a very natural process of soap making, especially with certain recipes. And this recipe was designed to be inexpensive and still be a great bar. So I didn't worry too much about the soda ash or anything. And if you put mica on the top, you wouldn't be able to see it anyway. So we're gonna release the suction of this mold onto the soap first, and then it should slide out for you relatively easy. This isn't gonna be the hardest batch of soap you might make in the future, but it should unmold cleanly, as you can see right here. Nice corners and everything. And now that you have your loaf out, we can go ahead and make some 1-inch marks on it. So I'm gonna place my little ruler here, and I'm gonna mark at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Move my ruler down. If you have a regular ruler, you won't have to do this. 9 and 10. So there's a little bit extra. And if you have opted for the basic soap making plan, we are just going to cut this with a kitchen knife on a cutting board. I'm just gonna mark it real quick with my knife here, so you know the line is gonna be pretty darn straight. And then I'm going to apply firm and even pressure with my hand as I push down. Now, I will let you know right now, this is not going to be a perfectly straight cut, but by cutting that way, you will have a better chance of it being as straight as human error will allow. And this is what your soap bar should look like on the inside. Oh wow, it smells so good. And as you can see, my soap gelled, so it's a little darker on the inside than it is on the outside. And I have found that as soaps sit and cure, the difference between the middle and the outside typically decreases. It doesn't get worse. It doesn't get like so much darker and then stays really light. Typically it all starts looking like the exact same color. But you can see that's a pretty straight bar of soap. And if that was you just now cutting your first bar of soap, let me congratulate you. I know it's such an exciting feeling. Sniff it real good. Yes, and be very proud of yourself. Gonna go ahead and make that mark real quick. We'll cut another one. Apply firm, even pressure all the way down. There we go. There's your bar of soap. Ah, it's so great. It looks so cute. I love the textured top. Now, for those of y'all who decided to get a little more fancy, get your cheese cutter ready, and we're going to cut our soap with this. Okay, so I have lined it up with my cheese wire. I'm holding down on the back of the soap and just pushing straight down with the wire, going very slowly. And this is what the soap looks like when it's been cut with a cheese wire. And look how pretty with the gold top. I would be so pleased if this was my first soap. So once again, I'm just gonna line everything up. I'm also making sure that this wire, because you can see this can slide a little bit, I'm making sure it's right in the middle so that it doesn't get caught anywhere on the side, and it makes a very even slice. So once that's all lined up, I'm just gonna push down real gently. There you go. That looks really cool to have a flat top with gold on it too. Honestly, all of them look great on the top. Now, if your soap looks a little different than mine, maybe it'll be a little darker, a little lighter, maybe it has some more ash, maybe it has a little less ash, that's okay. That's all part of the handmade process, and there will be some variances from my batch to your batch. Maybe you use a different brand of olive oil or a different brand of coconut oil. All of those things can make differences in the finished product. So you shouldn't be looking at your bar to look exactly like mine. Mine should just be a reference for the general area and idea of what yours should look like. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this final bar here. Cut it straight down. All right, there we go. Now, to make your soaps look really professional right off the bat, I would recommend taking a potato peeler and beveling the edges of the bar. However, if you don't have a potato peeler, you can alternatively just take a spoon and scrape those edges off. This batch should be soft enough to do that within the first little bit of cutting, and that just makes your soap look a lot cleaner. I can also do this on the top near the mica if I want. And so your final, like, completed, truly finished bar will look a little something like this before it cures. I don't remember who I first saw do this spoon technique, but whoever they are deserves a round of applause because it's truly very easy. Everyone's got a spoon around. You can just wipe off all the little bits that curl up after you've done it, and it really does just take your bar kind of to the next level for like no money at all, which I think is super awesome. So how long should your soap bars sit? Now that they're all ready to go, how long do we let them cure? Well, that is sort of a matter of personal preference. With this particular recipe, I would recommend 4 to 6 weeks, but they would be completely safe to use within 72 hours. They might be safe to use as quickly as 24 hours, but you like to play it safe. I'd wait 72 hours before I use this bar of soap. And there you have it, your first soap complete. I really hope this first project has encouraged you, has made you feel like, yeah, I can do this, and has prepped you for our next soap project. If you're making along with me, be sure to tag me in your photos on Instagram and Twitter. I would love to see the first creations that you guys do, what sort of texture you put on the top, how the cut bars look. Just tag me so I can see them and congratulate you. Now our next project is going to be slightly more advanced. We're going to have 2 colors. They're going to be stacked on top of each other, and you have an option to maybe put a little swirl in there if you want. It's up to you, and I'm so excited to be sharing that video with you very soon. If you have any comments or questions, once again, be sure to leave them down in the comment section below, and I will try to respond to as many as I can. But once again, our fellow community, the Royal Court, and other soap makers are very, very helpful, and they can help you out down below as well. I hope you have an absolutely royal day, and I will see you soon. So until then, bye for now.